Hi everybody, welcome back to Cabin Crafts and Simple Living. Today I thought I would do a video that several of you have asked for. I mean, even though you can see my fall decorations in the background, it is November and the days to Christmas are ticking away very fast. And so I've gotten questions about Christmas decorations in colonial America or early America. And I didn't wear my costume today because I was just lazy and I just got out of church and I didn't feel like changing clothes. So I thought today I would talk about the first Christmas trees in North America. And I had read this a long time ago and it just stuck with me because I thought it was so cool. But going back to the Revolutionary War, I don't know if any of you have heard of the Battle of Saratoga. My son used to live in Vermont, and just across the border from Vermont is upstate New York, and we would go to Fort Ticonderoga and the Saratoga battlefield. And it's funny because Benedict Arnold was at the Battle of Saratoga, and he and I believe it was General Gates were responsible for the surrender of General Gentleman Johnny Burgoyne of the British Army. So the British Army had to surrender to Gates and Benedict Arnold. Now Gates took all of the credit for it, and this they think is one of the reasons why Benedict Arnold was so bitter, was everybody kept stealing his thunder. And so if you go to the battlefield today, Arnold got shot in the leg, and he had been shot in that same leg like a couple of times, and it just kept getting re-injured. And there is a monument to a general's leg at Saratoga. They won't tell you who it is and who the general is, but they're honoring his leg, which is really cool to see. So it's a monument with a boot on it, and it's like to the general's leg. So they don't want to give his name and give him any glory, but they've honored his leg because he was injured at Saratoga. And so anyway, there was a Hessian general there, and his name was Baron von Riedesel. And his wife was with him, and her name was Baroness Friederike von Riedesel. And they were at the Battle of Saratoga, and they were part of the group that had to surrender with Burgoyne. So the Hessians were, as you remember, British allies, and they were hired mercenaries, basically. So this General von Riedesel is there, and after that battle, they wound up in Quebec, and in 1781, Baroness Friederike von Riedesel had a Christmas tree on Christmas Eve in December 1781. So if you have, people are like, well, when was the first Christmas tree? Well, there's a lot of debate about this because it really became popular in Queen Victoria's time, because Prince Albert was a German prince. He was Prince of Saxe-Coburg, and he brought his German traditions with him when he married Victoria. And by the way, they were like first cousins, I believe, because her mother was a Saxe-Coburg. So they just would keep marrying into each other, which is why they say that the Tsar of Russia's son, Nicholas, the ones that were killed by the Russian Revolution, he had hemophilia, and it's because they were so closely intermarried with each other. But anyway, back to Christmas. So the first Christmas tree in North America is credited with Baroness von Riedesel, 1781. Remember, they're Germans. Okay, so then, I don't know if you all remember, but last year, my kids bought me a trip to Old Salem, North Carolina, which is a Moravian settlement. And we were there for Christmas, which is what that's when I wanted to visit it. And so I had this book way before they bought me the tickets to that. It's called Moravian Christmas in the South. And this is about Old Salem. And it really is a neat living history village if you all get the chance to go. But I'm going to open up in this book the Christmas tree and the pyramid. So you can see on this page, it looks like a holly bush, and there's apples hanging from it, and Springerly cookies, and sugar cookies, and probably gingerbread. And then on this side, there is a little tabletop tree. And I'm going to read just a portion of this because I also have the book that they're talking about in this book. One wonders about the appearance of those early Christmas trees. To enhance our imagination, we may consider one of the earliest pictorial depictions of an American Christmas tree created by Louis Miller, who was 1796 to 1882. Miller, a German carpenter and chronicler of people and events by his folk drawings in York, Pennsylvania, sketched a picture of Seifert, a blue dyer with his family, and in the background was a Christmas tree, which appears to be decorated with Springerly cookies and fruit, perhaps apples. The date on the drawing is 1809. Okay, so von Riedesel had it in 1781. Louis Miller is saying 1809, but they're saying that the first Christmas tree displayed by the Moravians was in 1747. So again, you got to realize these are German peoples, okay? Moravians were, they were German-speaking people, and Moravia was somewhere around what is present day where Germany borders Czechoslovakia. And in World War II, Hitler wanted that area really bad. It was called the Sudetenlands, I believe. And so one of his goals was to annex that back into Germany. So that's where these people are coming from. And then I read that a Hessian soldier allegedly put up a tree in Connecticut in 1777, again, during the American Revolution. So 1777, we are at the height of the American Revolution. You remember that George Washington attacked Trenton and Princeton, and that's where the Hessian soldiers were stationed whenever he was at Valley Forge. The winters of 1776 and 1777 were some of the hardest winters that the troops went through. So that was right in that time period. And if you go back to my video on gingerbread and Christopher Ludwig, he encouraged Hessian soldiers to, what's the word? It just left me. Anyway, to desert and go to the American side. I'm sorry, my nose is running again. So in my book about the Moravians, the first Moravian one was displayed in 1747. And then, while I was there, they were doing this. Hopefully you can see that. That is a Christmas tree pyramid. It's made out of wood. And then it's got greenery, cookies, apples. Probably that Bible is open to the Christmas story. And these were done to be like in the shape of trees. And of course there's candles. So there's that, and those go back to when they first came to America. So again, we're talking 18th century. So people are like, well, you can't have a Christmas tree before the Victorian era. If you're German and you have a German home, like a historical German home, especially if you're in Pennsylvania, North Carolina, areas where there was Moravian, of course, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania is a huge Moravian settlement, Nazareth, and then Salem, North Carolina. They would have had some sort of Christmas tree in the colonial days. So I'm going to go to that Louis Miller book now. I bought this used from the York, Pennsylvania Historical Society. I bought it online. And Louis Miller, he chronicled everything, all of the history in watercolor. And then he wrote the stories, and this is a thick book, and it's nothing but his illustrations. I'm going to go to that page. Let me go to that page first, about Seifert the dyer, the blue dyer. Old Seifert. Okay, here it is. I'm going to show you the picture that they're talking about in the Moravian book. Let me see. Can you see it? So you see he is dyeing blue dye, which means he's probably using indigo. There's a baby on the table. Looks like a naked baby under the table. And see that little Christmas tree? And it says right next to it, Christmas tree. Those are little tiny apples and Springerly cookies. This is exactly how Baroness von Riedesel decorated her tree. She had Springerly cookies and probably little crab apples or lady apples and candied fruits, it says, on her tree. So here we have 1809. There we have a tabletop Christmas tree, and that's Old Seifert, the blue dyer. And I'll read you what the illustration says. A lot of this is in German. Let's see. Right next to that picture, it says, beef, broth, salad, and eggs, and good wine is good for the children. But I also marked another page that I want to show you all. See that gentleman sitting there at the table? So it says, Old Weaver and his landsman in South George Street, 1800, from Germany, drinking small beer and eating pretzels and gingerbread. So you can see on the table, there's some pretzels, small beer, whatever small beer is, I'll have to ask someone about that, and gingerbread. You don't get much German than that, more German than that. Gingerbread and pretzels and beer. This is 1800. Okay. And then one more I wanted to show you from Miller. Here is someone stealing peaches from somebody, neighbor's peach orchard. Now look at the couple at the cabin. It looks like they're a black couple. And their peaches are getting stolen, and they're not messing around. They're firing at them. He recorded daily life like this of York, Pennsylvania. This is the most interesting little book I've ever read. It lost its original dust jacket. But this is Lewis Miller, and it says Sketches and Chronicles in the beginning. And in the very introduction, let me see where it's at. He says himself, all of these pictures containing in this book, search and examine them. They are true sketches, I myself being there upon the places and spot and put down what happened. That's in his, that's a quote. This is what he wrote about his Chronicle of York, Pennsylvania. So this is a wonderful book. I got it used from the York, Pennsylvania Library, I believe. And then, of course, I've got Moravian Christmas in the South. So I brought with me, oh, and the earliest Christmas tree that's ever recorded was at the Cathedral of Strasbourg in 1539. So we're talking over 400 years here of Christmas trees. But I brought one of my own personal Springerly molds. This is a Santa with a tree. I'm just about sold out of my Christmas molds. I've got a few big ones left, but this one's my personal one. And you can make Springerly cookie ornaments with this, gingerbread, or you can press air-dried clay into these and make them a clay ornament that will last forever and ever and ever and ever if you don't break it. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little history of Christmas trees. If you have a historical German home that's from the 18th century, in somewhere out east, like in Pennsylvania and areas where there's large German settlements, and Missouri here where I live, had a huge wave of German migration. I'm not sure what the population percentage of Missouri is that has German descent, but it's a lot, and including myself. So if you have a historical German home that's from the 18th century, by all means put up a Christmas tree. And if somebody says, well, they wouldn't have had that in colonial days, well, they did if you were German. So there you go. So I hope you all enjoyed this video on the history of Christmas trees. I might be putting out more videos as we get closer to Christmas. It might be a week or two in between, but as I think of something, I will do a video, and you can send me your suggestions if you like. Please like and comment, make a suggestion. I'll try and do what I can. So that is Moravian and German Christmas trees in a quick history. So hope you enjoyed it. Thank you all for watching. God bless, and have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye.